is Dr. Gigi Sabat, and you're listening to the Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Yosi. Welcome.
Thank you, Gigi. Delighted to be with you.
Likewise, such an honor to be here with you today. Now, can you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from?
I am originally from Israel, that small, crazy part of the world that generates a lot of news, and a messy part of the world, unfortunately. I keep praying, hoping for peace, but I came to the U.S. After my military service, which was just a few years ago now. I was 18 at the end of high school, and but that's kind of, luckily it was peaceful time, not like the horror that it's happening now. But that was what got me interested in leadership, which led me to ultimately being a founder and CEO of 2 tech companies that I took public. And then I had my spiritual awakening, and that changed the direction of my life and got me to go back to school and get a PhD in psychology and do all this research around spiritual intelligence. So that's kind of my quick life story. Of course, I could talk about it for many days. But...
Yes. Thank you so much for your service. And now tell us a little bit more about your experience as a CEO.
Boy, I was very identified with the business. It was my lifelong dream because coming out of the military, even though I excelled at it and had the fastest promotion record in the history of my regiment and got all these leadership awards, the command and control model chafed at my soul. And I wanted to see if you could build a company, an organization that brings out the best in people individually and then unify them as a collective, but, helping them develop and grow as an individuals. And so that became my lifelong passion. So my first company was called Individual Inc. It was the first company to do personal newspapers. Before the internet, you'd get Gigi's Morning News on your fax machine, and it had learning agents, kind of rudimentary AI that would learn about you and give you news that was relevant to you. But I was very identified with the business, and I worked 70, 80 hours a week, and I burnt myself out. And then the internet came, and I was terrified. But, I hung in there. We took the company public, and it became a high-flying internet stock. And then one day I was trying to relax and chill out and get a deep tissue massage. And then as I relaxed, and opened up, I realized, oh, my ego dissolved and all is one, and all is made of this permeating state consciousness that everything is made of, and we're all part of this field of presence. And I was looking through the face cradle on the massage table, and it looked like the floor was inside of me. So it blew my mind up and blew my circuit. But it actually also threw me into a manic episode, which was very tragic, because it got me pushed out of the company. And that was a very painful trauma because the company was my baby. But, the experience of being a CEO is very thrilling. You get all these people and you lead them and they look up to me, and I got to experiment with my ideas of how to build a culture that brings out the best in people. And that's very thrilling because it was my lifelong dream. It was also very humbling to see how even though I had these great motivations, my ego would get in the way, and I became sometimes a micromanager. And so I had to learn and grow and really trust not just myself, but trust my team, trust life, trust God, you might say. So I didn't have to control everything. So it's a deep growing experience and a humbling experience and exhilarating experience. It's all of it.
I love it. Very powerful. And now you are back in school as well. Tell us a little bit more about your experience and how do you feel going back to school?
Oh, I loved it. I'm a lifelong learner. I was interested in spirituality. I was interested in understanding myself. I was coaching other CEOs, and I wanted to work with them deeply and not just give them advice, because they wouldn't follow it unless you understand their psychology. And then I heard the term spiritual intelligence, which was coined by a woman called Dana Zohar, but she didn't really define it. And I knew about all emotional intelligence and what that was and all the research that was done to show how important that is. And I thought, oh, spiritual intelligence would be a great parallel. So, but nobody really defined it. And if you want to study it scientifically, you have to know how to measure it. So that's the path I set on, is to define what it is. I interviewed 71 teachers across all the world's traditions. And what was exciting is that regardless of their theology, whether they believe in a higher power like God or enlightenment like Buddhism, or Father Sky, Mother Earth, like the native traditions, or shamanic tradition, or the Tao, or Jesus is the Messiah, or Muhammad was the final prophet, or like my tradition that I grew up in Judaism, that Moses went up to the mountain and saw God. Whatever they believed in, they talked about the same virtues: life of purpose, life of service, trust, humility, integrity, gratitude, compassion, forgiveness. So these are the universal timeless wisdom qualities that we can apply in our modern age. And so that was very exciting. And I developed the first academically validated measure of spiritual intelligence that showed that leaders with higher spiritual intelligence lead teams with greater morale, higher commitment, lower turnover. And other researchers since have shown that such leaders produce better financial results for their organizations. People with higher spiritual intelligence are more resilient, they have greater satisfaction, quality of life, better relationships, more experiences of awe. So now, 15 plus years later, there's an ever-growing body of research across cultures and continent and languages that shows that spiritual intelligence can be measured, it's real, and it has positive impact in all these domains in our lives. And it's good for us individually, and it's good for us collectively. So I think, to me, that's super exciting. And it just makes everything in my life like line up. This is why I'm here. I didn't realize it when you look forward, but I look back now, everything makes sense.
Yes, I love it. Very powerful. And now you spoke about God there. I actually wrote a book called God First. And you also mentioned emotional intelligence. And there's a great book by my friend, Dr. Drew Gold, PhD. And he talks about emotional intelligence, but beyond emotional intelligence. It's a great read. And so thanks so much for covering emotional intelligence today. Now, do you have any last words for the audience, Yosi?
Yeah, I mean, so beyond emotional intelligence, super intelligence, spiritual intelligence will turbocharge your emotional intelligence. I mean, the only other thing I say, everything in our universe, as we look at it physically, is limited and is non-renewable resource. If I have $100, I give you one, I have one less. I'm $99 left. But if I have a certain amount of love in my heart, and I share some of that life through acts of kindness and generosity or expression or gratitude, however, what is it? I share some of that with you or anybody else. Do I have less love in my heart? No, I have more. So, as we share our inspiration, as we share our love with generosity, with kindness, with compassion, then our hearts get bigger, more fulfilled, and it's a self-perpetuating machine of limitless energy and inspiration. So that's my thing. Just tune into our hearts, share our love, share our trust, and it renews ourselves and everybody around us. And whether that person gives us back or not, we have more. We are more living in love and radiating joy.
Yes, very powerful. And speaking of energy, I can feel the energy on this call, and the vibration level is very high. So thanks so much. My mentor, Bob Proctor, he always talks about those vibration levels. Like I said, it's very high on this call. And Yosi, thanks so much for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast. Where can the audience find you?
Well, I have a website called Awakening SI, the acronym for spiritual intelligence, awakeningsi.org. It's a nonprofit. There are resources from there, free monthly events. I also have a YouTube channel, Awakening Spiritual Intelligence, and Awakening Spiritual Intelligence. That would be the simplest. I have a book called Spiritually Intelligent Leadership. You can get it on Amazon and anywhere else books are sold, in hard copy, audiobook, ebook, etc. So there are many ways to get to me, but I'm delighted and honored to be of service. help people. My goal, my mission is to awaken greater spiritual intelligence in myself and the world.
Thank you, Yosi. And such an honor to have you as a guest on the Welcome Me podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Yosi on all of his social media platforms. And also make sure to check out his book. Yosi, thanks so much. God bless.
God bless. Thank you.